I would want people to say Nate always played at his best. He always gave it up on stage. He never, um, I never saw him not give his all when he played.
Well, welcome back. Welcome back to the Extraordinary Drummer Show. As you know, I'm your host, Sharon Moore. You know, I always say today. Well, family, we got him on the show. I got about 36 pages to talk now. I'm just joking. I got some good stuff for him too. You all know he's a touring musician. He's a recording artist. He's a songwriter, a producer, Grammy nominee, which we're going to talk about later on, a composer and arranger. Later on, I'll talk about a pianist. I read somewhere that pianist. Yeah. I just call him a drummer's drummer. New York Times magazine, New York Times newspaper described him. Have you ever read this book? Described him as a firecracker on drums.
Yeah.
As I said, I just call him a drummer's drummer. Will you help me welcome my guest today, Nate Smith? Hey, Nate.
What's up, brother? What's up, man? Good to be with you.
Welcome to the Extraordinary Drummer Show.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
We're glad to have you here, man. I'm gonna start with some of the history stuff, but I want to jump around a little bit. Okay. We've got quite a body of work to cover, and a different perspective on things. So I want to jump around a little bit with the history, especially a little bit. You're from Chesapeake, Virginia?
Chesapeake, Virginia, man. Born and raised.
That's some beautiful country down there, man.
It is. It really is. It's like 20 miles inland from Virginia Beach. Gorgeous. We have gorgeous summers down there, gorgeous fall. This time of year is beautiful down in VA. So yeah, I'm born and raised, man.
I read where you start playing drums at 11 years old.
Yeah, I have a brother who's 10 years older than me, and he played in band and marching band, but he also had a small little drum kit that he would play. And so when he went away to college, I set up his drums while he was gone, and I just started messing around. And I was messing around based off of like old videos that I saw. My dad, he had a big record collection. He also had a big video collection of live concerts. And one of the concerts he had was Grover Washington live in Philadelphia with Steve Gadd on drums. So I remember setting the drums up and trying to play some of what Steve Gadd was playing. I know I sounded real sad when I did it, but that was the beginning.
I read somewhere where you started playing rock, but then you moved over to jazz.
Yeah, the first stuff I was playing, I mean, aside from the Grover and Bob James and Steve Gadd stuff, the first stuff that I ever got super excited about was I was way into a band called The Police with Sting, Stuart Copeland, Andy Summers. I binged The Police. I would listen to everything they did. I wanted to sound like Stuart. I used to put tape on my fingers like Stuart, and I would play. I used to tune my snare drum super high. I was into Peter Gabriel too. I love the Soul album when that came out. I played along with it. I would put it on cassette and play along with it in the garage. And then what really freaked me out was when I discovered Living Color. When I discovered, my buddy passed me the tape and I listened to it, and then I saw him and I saw that there were 4 black dudes. And I had never really known about black rock before. I didn't know anything about Jimi Hendrix. I didn't know anything about, Howlin' Wolf or Muddy Water, Chuck Berry even. I didn't know. So seeing 4 black dudes playing hard rock like that, and then seeing Will Calhoun play the way he played, I couldn't get enough of it. That's when I really got turned out on playing rock, So I was a Living Color disciple for, the first, 5-6 years that I played drums. I still am, actually, quiet as it's kept. I love those guys.
Take me to high school. Did some marching drumming over there in high school?
Yeah. I was the drum captain, I guess the drum section leader in my marching band. And I played quints, so I played quads, which is the multi-toms, you know. And so I marched those my junior and senior year. I was a drum captain marching quints. And then, but I was also in the symphonic band when we were, you know, marching band we do during football season. Then during the rest of the year, we would do concert band. And during that time, I was also a really, I was very into playing timpani. I was actually pretty good too. I was a pretty good young timpanist. And very promising, you know, but drum set was always the priority. Like when I sat down to play the drums, that was really it for me, you know. But yeah, high school and my freshman year in college, I marched snare at James Madison University, which is a pretty famous marching band. Yeah.
Tell me, staying with high school a little bit, tell me how Mr. Thomas Humes was an influence on you.
Oh man, Mr. Hume, you know, I actually met him in 5th grade. He was my 5th grade band teacher, my first band teacher. And, you know, he saw my curiosity, he saw my talent, and he nurtured it. You know, he really let me, he would let me stay after school in the band room. He would just say, you know, close the door behind you, stay as long as you want, practice as long as you want. I could practice timpani. I could practice, so he would let me practice a little piano too when I wanted to learn about chords and harmony and chord changes. And of course, you know, when the drum set was set up, I could practice there too. So he just really encouraged that for me. He really, he saw my talent and nurtured it. And I think I'm very grateful. He recently passed away, but I'm very grateful that he was there during that beginning time in my career, you know, my relationship with music.
Did he get to see the success?
He did. So we became Facebook friends, and later in life, and he sent me a beautiful message on Facebook, and then his daughter reached out to me and said that he wasn't feeling well, and wondered if I could send him some sticks, some drumsticks, some autographed drumsticks, which I did, you know, and I didn't get a chance to see him in person. But which I'm sad that I didn't get to, but I got a picture of him with the drumsticks, and it was really sweet, you know, that he got him, and that he was very proud. I could tell he was very proud, you know, so that made me feel really good.
You mentioned earlier college. Take me back over to James Madison College. What was the scene like there?
So James Madison University is in a very small town called Harrisonburg, Virginia. You know, at the time that I went, it was much smaller than it is now. It's grown, you know, a lot in the time since I left, you know. But yeah, you know, I went there. I started as a music education major. I went there, you know, to learn. I was studying music theory and ear training and all the music major stuff, you know. But I kind of really just wanted to play drums. I wanted to play drums in all the ensembles. So I auditioned for all the jazz band ensembles. They had a big band, they had a small group, and I ended up getting into a couple of the school bands. And that was really what I wanted to do, was play small group or big band jazz. You know, that's where I would. So I remember I had 2 teachers there. Gunnar Mossblad ran the program. And then this older guy named George West was also a great teacher there. And George West was a really talented arranger. So he was another guy I could talk to about, you know, orchestration and harmony and stuff. Like, to the degree that I could understand it, he was always down to talk about it. You know, those were important times. There was also a really good drum teacher there. This guy named Marlon Foster, who I think he still lives in the area. Really great, like sort of straight ahead drummer, great sound, great touch. He knew a lot of the history, so I could really talk to him. He turned me on to a lot of records too.
Hey everybody, Dennis Chambers here, sitting here at the airport waiting for my flight to leave for Europe. Just want to say a few things about Nate Smith, which is one is the boy is bad. Great guy. And when I sit and listen to him play, it sounds like a freaking train going down the tracks. Solid as a moho. All right now, DC out. Bye-bye.
Over at James Madison, in my notes, I got him a little discombobulated here, and I'm kind of kicking myself. Which
Okay.
came first, meeting Betty Carter or Dave Holland?
Betty. Betty came first.
Tell me about it.
So yeah, man. So here's how it happened. All right. So every summer while I was in college, I had a summer music gig. So the first two summers, summer of '93 and the summer of '94, I worked at Paramount's King's Dominion, which is just outside of Richmond, Virginia, right? And we played this 60s, 70s, 80s pop show, like all the classic rock, classic pop, Motown, all that stuff. We played 4 shows a day, right? And then in the summer of 1995, I got a chance to go down to Epcot and play in the Disney band, the Disney Grammy band. Actually, the full name was the Disney Grammy All-American College Jazz Band. That was the full name of the thing. And I got to play with kids from all over the country, incredible young musicians. It was the first time I had seen musicians who were my age playing at that level, from all over, because I had been just in Virginia up until that point. So getting there and seeing sort of a swath of national talent, that was eye-opening. But that summer, I met a trombonist named Andre Hayward. And Andre is from Houston, I believe. And he had just done Jazz Ahead with Betty Carter. I think he had done the first year, that spring, 1995. So he said, man, I'm going to introduce you to Betty. I want you to do Jazz Ahead. So he introduced me to Betty. He sent my tape to Betty. He told Betty about me. And then in January of 1996, James Madison Jazz Small Group, we went to IAJE. This was back then when they had the International Association of Jazz Educators Conference. And this was January of 1996. And so I played with my student band. Betty happened to be there, and Andre brought Betty to my performance. And Betty was there. I met her. You sound real good. You sound good. She shook my hand and everything. And then 5 months later, I got invited to come do Betty Carter Jazz Ahead in Brooklyn. And that was another level of life-changing. It was just incredible, man. Incredible. I can't even begin to really convey how deeply that changed my perspective on what was possible as a musician.
Did the Dave Holland connection or friendship relationship happen after that?
After that,
right
yeah.
After that?
So
Yeah.
right after that. So after I did Jazz Ahead with Betty, that was when I graduated from JMU. So in the fall of 1997 or January 1997, I enrolled at Virginia Commonwealth University. And I was studying, I did this Carpenter Fellowship there, and I was studying with 2 great teachers. I got to shout the teachers out first. First teacher was this great, great drummer, unsung hero in the Hampton Roads area, this cat named Howard Curtis. Howard is one of those dudes that's been around. He's played with so many people, but he's kind of one of those guys that nobody really knows because he never really became sort of a famous drummer, But drummers from this area, from the Virginia area, know, that Howard is one of the greatest, But I got to study one-on-one with Howard for like the year that I did the grad program. And he turned me on to so many records. He turned me on to so many concepts. Like, shout out to Howard Curtis. The other teacher that was there was this great, who ran the program, was a great arranger named Doug Richards. Doug, a really super talented composer, arranger, orchestrator. And he was another guy I could talk to about composition and listen to him talk about it too. Like, I would stand up sometimes over his shoulder while he was conducting the scores and I would read along. And, I learned a lot. I really learned a lot from working with Doug about big band, like writing for large ensemble. Right. Okay. So there's those 2 guys. So I wanted to shout them out first. But in the fall of 1997, one of the guests that they invited to Virginia Commonwealth to do the program was Dave Holland. So he came as a guest. We had been studying his music. We had been shedding his music. He showed up. I got to play in the small group with Dave, and I got to play in the big band with Dave. And after the concert, Dave pulled me to the side. He said, I like the way you play, man. I'm going to call you. I'm going to call you for some stuff, man. What's your number? So I gave him my number. And that was the beginning of that relationship with Dave. you know, and again, I mean, Dave changed my life. He changed not only did he change my life, he changed my career. You know, Dave was the guy who really, it was the first sort of steady band leader gig I had was with Dave. And I'm very grateful to Dave for that opportunity.
You still chat with him?
Every once in a while, man, I'll text him now and again. You know, his birthday was October 1st. So I hit him up, you know, and he sent me a message out of the blue a couple months ago. He happened to be in Virginia. So he sent me the message like, you know, I remember meeting you here, and, you know, it's like just beautiful to be back. And so it's nothing but love with Dave, man. He's just a beautiful cat.
Speaking of first, hey, how you like this transition? Go to the rise symbol. Speaking. Boom.
Yeah.
Interview
right on the bell.
Yeah. Speaking of first, let's talk about your first album. I'm gonna say KinFolk's Postcards from Everywhere. Did I get that right?
You did.
Tell me about it. How did it come about?
Yeah. So, you know, I worked with Dave from 2003 to about 2011 or so, and then things slowed down. And I was also concurrently working with Chris Potter at the time too. I was working with Chris from 2004 to about 2012, 13 in there. And then when 2012, 13 hit, things slowed down, you know, and I realized that I was going to have to, I felt the need to make my own statement as a band leader. So I started writing some songs in the summer of 2013. I put this group together of musicians that I had met and played with, and they were all very different musicians, you know. And we started playing. We played our first gig September 3rd, 2013. That was the first KinFolk gig. And then we went in the studio January of the next year, and very, very slowly, as much as I could afford to do at a time, I tried to put my first record together. So it didn't end up coming out until February of 2017. So there was a 4-year period that I just had to like really, you know, save my money and use the piggy bank, you know, break the piggy bank to keep making it, you know. But over that time, we started playing more shows, we started playing more gigs, and also during that time, you know, social media started happening for me. So videos started going viral, and I started, you know, getting much more recognition from brands, and like, you know, people started to notice me, you know, so it kind of it ended up happening around the same time. KinFolk was finishing as I was becoming more visible, you know, so it kind of intersected, you know.
As I said, I'm jumping around a little bit. You come up with that name KinFolk. See, you say KinFolk right there. See,
yeah. You know, I mean, I'm still a country dude from Virginia, you know, so the idea of an extended musical family was really what it was about. You know, the thing I always loved about Sly Stone's band was it was Sly and the Family Stone. You know what I mean? Like it had this feeling like, you know, it was his vision, but all the people involved in it, they felt like extensions of him. Like it was just one, like sort of family affair, no pun, you know? And so I loved that. And I wanted to do something that captured that feeling of family. I wanted to have a name that captured that feeling of family. So KinFolk, you know, being from the South, KinFolk, these are my people, my KinFolk, you know?
Nate Smith, kind of sophisticated funk, articulately delivered. Check them out. It's cool.
Nate, tell me about your book, if I may call it a book.
Yeah.
Pocket Change too?
Yeah, so there's actually 2 Pocket Change. There's 2 Pocket Change albums, and there's 2 companion transcription books. So shortly after my first videos started to go viral, I noticed that there would be these people who would transcribe my books, but transcribe my solos, right? And they would post the videos and they would have the running transcription underneath. And I thought to myself, well, why don't I just put out a transcription of this solo drum album I'm doing? Why don't I just do that? You know? And so I got hit up by this guy named Zach Yanez, who was really talented drummer, really talented transcription guy. And so I hit him up and I sent him the tracks. He worked on it. He worked on it for about 3 or 4 months. We pressed it up. We sold it. It's the first one we did physical and e-copies. This last one, we just did physical copies only that you can only get either online or at my shows. So yeah, that's kind of the story around Pocket Change, around the transcription books. And each transcription, I have a little blurb, a little small essay about each piece, and then you can read the transcription along while you listen to the record or shed it, whatever,
And I thought James Brown was the hardest working man in show business. Nate, let's talk about these credits, man. Your credits, boy. Like I said, it reads like the who's who of the music industry, you know?
Yeah.
Let me throw a few of them at you. Pat Martini.
Pat Metheny?
Yes.
Pat Metheny, yeah. Yeah, I got a chance to play with Pat. 2019, I did a week at Tokyo Blue Note with Pat, and I also did a short, like a month-long tour with him in the spring of that year with the Side Eye Trio. It was myself, James Francis on keys, and Pat, and it was a lot of fun, man. I really enjoyed playing with Pat. He's a master musician. Learned a lot. Learned a lot about how he puts his set together, how he puts his show together, and he's just a great musician. Great musician.
Tell me about Robbie Coltrane.
Robbie, man, that's my brother. I love Robbie, man. I got to play with Robbie quite a bit, man, through basically 2014, 15. I did a little bit of work with him in 2016, 17 too. We toured Europe together. The band that I played in with Robbie was mostly Adam Rogers on guitar and Scott Colley on bass. We played that quartet played a lot. We played at Birdland. We did a few weeks at Birdland. I love Robbie very much, man. He's a great musician, great dude. Such a great hang. He's just, Robbie, that's my man. That's my man.
This next one here, I want to ask you. Nominated for Grammys. Was it 2 of them?
2. Well, technically 3 nominations. So, as a part of Dave Holland's octet, he got nominated for a record called Pathways back in 2009, I believe. And then in 2018, I was nominated for a composer and arranger Grammy for one of the tunes off the KinFolk record. So it's technically 3 nominations, 2 under my name and 1 as a part of Dave Holland's group.
I should go back to credits and just say quickly, there's so many more. Emily King, Van Hunt, as we said, Jose James, the Fearless Flyers. I could have stayed on credits another 45 minutes easily, man. And they all so different, you know what I mean?
No, it's a wide swath of people, man. It's a really wide swath of people, and that's a blessing.
Yeah, it is. But it's a testament to you and your diversification too,
Thank you, man.
The Grammys, what does it feel like to get that call to know you nominated for one?
Man, so when the KinFolk pieces got nominated, they read the nominations really early in the morning because they read them at it's like 5 a.m. on the West Coast, 8 a.m. on the East Coast, And so when the nominations were read, I was asleep. So when I woke up that morning, my phone was blowing up. Like I had all these texts saying, congratulations, congrats, right? And I was like, what? And then I went online and saw that I'd been nominated for these 2 Grammys. And so, my initial feeling was I was completely shocked. I was like, what? Like, wait, and I was in a category, man, and this is why I didn't win. I was in a category with the great film composer John Williams. He was in that category that year, right? And I was like, when I saw him in the category, I was like, I know I'm not winning. But to be in the same category with him, that was crazy. That was crazy. So I was just like, man, it was just it was surreal. It was surreal. Like I said, to be nominated as a part of Dave's thing was amazing too. But that was really Dave's nomination. This felt like mine. This felt like something that really belonged to me. So I was proud, but also really humbled by that.
You've been, I don't know how you feel about this, but you've been kind of labeled a pocket drummer.
Pocket. Yeah.
Have you heard that?
Yeah, I've heard it.
How do you feel about that?
I don't mind it at all. Some of my favorite drummers. I mean, I just feel like the definition of pocket is very vast. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like Art Blakey had a pocket. I feel like Jimmy Cobb, who used to play with Miles Davis, had a pocket. I feel like Philly Joe Jones played in the pocket. Like, some of the music they played is some of the grooviest, funkiest, straight ahead jazz to me. So I don't think of pocket just in terms of R&B or hip hop or whatever. I think pocket is universal. And the pocket really, to me, is not just about one musician. The pocket is about the band. The band plays in the pocket together. So if I can be a part of an ensemble that's playing in the pocket, great. I have no problem with that. No problem at all.
Just want to take a second shout out to the great Nate Smith, amazing drummer, groove master. Man, definitely on my top drummers of all time, man. Shout out to you, man. I hope maybe even one day get to work and do some work with you, man. But man, Nate Smith, incredible, bro. Some of the tightest drumming I've heard, grooves. I mean, just off of just playing. Ain't no chops or nothing, just playing the groove. Amazing, man.
Nate, let's talk endorsements. What are you doing in endorsements or gear?
Yeah.
Cymbals, heads, sticks, drums, so forth and so on.
So I've been with Zildjian for, I guess we're closing up on 20 years now with Zildjian. Love those guys. A lot of people have come and gone at the shop, but I love those dudes. Love the stuff they're doing. Love what they're making. I was with Vader for a while. I'm with Vic Firth now. Vic Firth Sticks. Been with them for the last 5 or 6 years. Maybe a little longer. I'm with Ludwig Drums. Shout out to Uli and the whole crew over at Ludwig. They're incredible. And I've been working with Evans Drumheads for a long time too. So that's like my big four is Zildjian, Vic Firth, Ludwig, Evans.
Nate, here's a $100,000 question.
Okay.
The cover, Modern Drummer Magazine. Come on, brother.
Yeah, man. What a year that was. That was right after the beginning of the Fearless Flyers. I think the video came out in April of that year or March of that year. And I think I was on the cover in August of that year. So it was like, that was one of those moments where I really felt like I was kind of being seen, you work out here, you're playing drums for people, and you're such and such as drummer, you're such and such as drummer. But, when you get that kind of honor to be on the cover of Modern Drummer, you become, it went from being Dave Holland's drummer to being Nate Smith,
Nate, we do a thing on the show we call Word of Advice.
Yeah.
Where I ask the drummers, I ask the guests if they'll leave a parting word for the up-and-coming drummers.
Yeah.
Even the guys at the next level, but the guys that's trying to get traction in this industry, in this game. Would you leave them a word of advice?
Be patient. Be patient, man. That's the number one name of the game. I remember going back to Dave Holland. I did a master class with Dave, and somebody asked him a similar question, like, what's it? And he, pretty much every piece of advice that I would give any younger musician comes down to stick with it, be prepared, and be professional. Show up on time, be nice to people, take what you do seriously, be prepared, do your homework, So yeah, be cool, be patient, and do your homework. Those are three things I will always tell every younger musician and remind myself to do too,
Nate, what do you look for in a bass player?
That's a great question. I love a bass player. There's so many things. So if it's upright, sound, and if they're walking, like momentum in the way they walk changes, like how they treat the quarter note. If we think of the quarter note the same way, that's a really important relationship between drummer and upright bass player, especially if you're playing straight ahead, If it's an electric player, again, sound is important too. Like, somebody who loves to dig into a part, like who likes to play bass lines, as opposed to like noodly stuff. I love cats who can do that, but being able to dig into a groove and really play a part and commit to it, I think that's a very underrated skill, And so when I meet a bass player who really is into that, and someone who really chooses their spots, they know when to play and when to lay out, when to fill and when to let the music ride, that's important. That's really important.
Billy Johnson here. My friend Sharon Moore asked me to speak a few words on the drummer Nate Smith, the extraordinary drummer Nate Smith. This brother, I love his style. I got three words: groove, musicality, and chops. He has it all, and just love the way he plays, man. I got to see him a few months ago, performing live with his band. It was amazing. This brother's the truth.
Nate, here's a question I always ask the guests at the end of the show. Mm-hmm. Nate, what do you want your legacy to be said, to be told?
Man, I would want people to say Nate always played at his best. He always gave it up on stage. He never, I never saw him not give his all when he played, And more importantly than that, I want people to be like, he was a really nice dude. He was kind to people. He was, my brother Aaron Spears, man, God bless him. He used to say this all the time, it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. He used to say that, And I really think that's the biggest part of anybody's legacy is how you treated people, how you treated the people around you. That's important. So, yes, I want people to acknowledge my music and my talent as a musician and my work and whatever accomplishments as a musician. But I also want the personal touch to be in there too. I want people to be like, he was a good dude. That's important. More important, I think.
Wow. Nate, let me say thank you. Thank you so very much for being on the Extraordinary Drummer Show, my friend.
Thank you for having me, Sharon. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you.
As they say overseas, it's my delight.
Thanks, man.
I hope you come back again and again.
Thank you, brother.
Will you help us wave goodbye to all the fans? Thank you, brother.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Nate Smith, a blend of old school funk and jazz. Deep, deep pocket.